Ichabod is just such a good guy.
This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/thehorrorofbabylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that The Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible and all other major podcast apps.
Welcome to episode 114 of The Horror of Babylon, where we discuss The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. I'm Ryan, and with me as always is Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
My tummy hurts.
And Hef's here too.
How y'all doing? It's good not to be Daniel.
And Hef is why Daniel's tummy hurts.
He does make the butterflies flutter.
He does. He absolutely does. In my stomach, they're more like half-dead moths, so...
You've known him longer.
Yeah, a long time. And speaking of people, some people that I've known a long time and some people that I haven't, thank you to our patrons, including Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben, the Fourth Patron of Hope.
I forgot I was supposed to say that too.
I'm picking up your slack tonight. I'm glad we're recording 3 episodes. And Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain.
And thank you to Four Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at fourhorsemen.tcgplayerpro.com. And if you make it into the store, say hello to the proprietor, Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas. And we are going to be doing a giveaway sponsored by Four Horsemen. We are going to be doing a Princess Bride Magic Secret Lair. We're going to be giving that away the first week of March. If you want to be in that giveaway, all you have to do is interact with this video on YouTube or any of our social media posts between now and then, and we will be entering all of those people into that giveaway. You don't have to be a patron. You don't have just like, comment, share, make sure we can see that you're doing it, and we will get you in that giveaway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hef, tell us about Hef_GG, which stands for Grandma's Goodies.
Fuck, I wasn't ready for that.
That's the name of the porno I started.
Grandma's got the goods.
Grandma's Got the Goods is our new endeavor as far as the Let's Play channel.
You should change the name to that.
Grandma's got the goods.
Grandma's Got the Goods.
Such a gilf.
But we're trying something a little different. Trying to make the gaming content its own kind of thing. Doesn't mean we're going to be taking away from the main channel completely, but it's going to be nice for archiving. It's also going to be really nice for those of you who maybe are newer viewers or listeners. Maybe you didn't come in when we first started and want to start fresh on the Let's Play stuff. I mean, we're pumping out 2 or 3 a week.
3 a week.
We're doing 3 a week.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah, so it's a good way to catch up on some older stuff that I've done. If you find something a little cringy, don't worry, I do too.
Yeah.
But feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely comment. I'd love to hear from you all and get some ideas of what you'd like to see.
Legacy of Kain.
Apparently, Legacy of Kain.
All right, so our history with the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Now, we are going to play a game. From here on out, if you say Sleepy Hollow, you have to say Sleepy Hollow. If you don't, you can't talk for 5 minutes. So I'll give you all one.
I'm so bad at this game.
You all get get one practice. So, let's hear your practice. Sweepy Hollow.
Sweepy Hollow.
Sweepy Hollow, like sweepy. Sweepy Hollow.
I've done that with my hands
Sweepy
before,
hollow.
but it's generally not
Sweepy
because
hollow.
I'm sweepy or hollow.
Okay.
Maybe hollow.
Yeah,
Hollow.
sometimes I do that when I'm sweepy.
Mm.
And then I get hollow.
Just to finish it off.
Okay. All right, cool. We're good with that.
I'm going to fuck up so bad.
So my history with Sweepy Hollow, like most people, is the Disney cartoon. And I do have a little bit of a story, but I'm going to save that for next week when we're reviewing the Disney cartoon. The short story itself, I read for the first time 2, 3, 4 years ago. And I didn't think it was all that great. I was like, whatever. It's like New England porn. Even though New York is not part of New England, but it's just like,
New England adjacent.
Yeah, New England adjacent. Like it's so beautiful in the babbling brooks and the trees, and then I read it again for the podcast. I liked it a lot more. I appreciated it a lot more. I think it's in a lot of ways it's not just a short story, but it's also like a key piece of American culture, and when you're reading older stories like this, sometimes you also kind of have to look at it from a historical perspective, not just a literary perspective. But Daniel, what is your history with the Legend of Sweepy Hollow?
Well, my experience with Sweepy Hollow is almost the same as yours. You know, I grew up with the Disney cartoon, and I can't even tell you how many times I watched it, but I must have never paid attention to what was actually going on in it.
Yeah. Because,
maybe 20 years later, I'm watching a person review it, and they're just talking about how shitty of a person Ichabod is.
He's so bad!
And so I'm sitting there as, I think I was in college at the time, or maybe just out of college, and going, huh. I mean, now that you're pointing all of that out, that guy is, one of the worst people. And I'm like, did Disney just invent that? And then I read this book and went,
no,
nope.
he's a shithead.
And in between all of that, I watched the Tim Burton one, and I probably watched that more than anything else. So that's how Ichabod was in my mind for a while, and then I watched that review.
That is not Ichabod Crane.
And I'm like, that is not Ichabod Crane at all.
That is Sherlock Holmes with Asperger's.
So Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes has autism, not Asperger's. It's different.
Aren't they the same thing now?
No.
Yeah, they're in the same umbrella. They don't use that anymore.
No.
But that is my experience with Sweepy Hollow.
So, with Sweepy Hollow, I had a distinctly opposite. I actually never saw the Disney cartoon.
Yeah, that's a lie. And
is it?
The first time I saw it was in elementary school.
I also have many false memories.
Okay.
Or blanks, I guess, is probably.
It's also possible that you were absent.
I don't remember ever watching it. Because I watched it for the first time, as far as I'm aware, literally last night.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that in that episode.
Okay. Either way. Okay. But I read the story actually several years ago. I don't remember what the circumstance was that I read it, and I remember thinking after I was done, I'm like, this is shit. I don't like this at all. And then I listened to it again a few weeks ago for this, and I was like, okay, no, I'm all right. This is better than I remember. Still not high, but
I like it.
It has certain problems that I have with some things, but I mean, it's not its fault. It's like you said, it's just, you gotta look at it from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my background with Sweepy Hollow.
There are definitely elements that appeal to me more now.
Yes, I have many things.
The vampires are pure myth, superstition. I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
Background, this is, of course, is a short story by American author Washington Irving. It was originally published in the short writing collection, The Sketchbook of Geoffrey Crayon Gent, which was serially published between 1819 and 1820. That short writing collection, not just short stories, but also essays and poems, also contains his other super famous short story, Rip Van Winkle.
Oh, my third favorite vampire.
Yeah, he's yes. So along with Rip Van Winkle, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is one of the...
Buddy.
What?
He said the thing that he's not supposed to say.
Shit!
I didn't even catch him.
Shit!
Go on, Hef. You're in charge now.
Why am I in charge? You're the
You're
co-host.
closest.
You're the co-host.
Yeah, but you're closer to the mic.
That's not how that... my voice doesn't carry.
Along with...
If you say it wrong, I swear to God.
Rip Van Winkle. These are examples of American fiction with enduring popularity. What are you pointing at? Oh, among the earliest examples of American fiction with enduring popularity. They helped to develop a unique sense of American cultural and existential selfhood during the 19th century. Lore!
So did middle school.
We love the lore at the Horror of Babylon. Headless Horsemen were staples of Northern Europe storytelling featuring Europe, yeah. When I'm in charge, I stutter more, dude. Featuring German, Irish, Scandinavian, and British legends. Adaptations. The Headless Horseman in 1922, a silent film. I haven't seen that. Why aren't we reviewing that?
One. One syllable.
It's one thing. I don't know why.
3 syllables. 3 syllables sounds like head. It sounds like head.
It's 1 hour and 8 minutes. Oh my God, why? Okay.
Because runtime.
The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, 1949, which we've already talked about ad nauseum, which was the second segment of a package film, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. I would like to see them as a ship. You know, I'm going to commission somebody of those to make an app. What happened? The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, 1980.
1980. It was a television film starring Jeff Goldblum as Ichabod.
What?
Tell me
Why didn't we watch that?
That sounds wild. Let me tell you. Jeff Goldblum's already a weirdo. Like, I can only imagine. I wonder if that Ichabod Crane is any less likable.
That's a better Ichabod Crane.
That sounds pretty good. We have been given the finger. He is highlighting Ichabod and Mr. Toad, and I believe he is scavenging the internet looking for... He showed us a picture of Master Roshi and then the other one that has the crane style. Oh, he's a crane. That's so fucking stupid. What isn't he? It's a turtle, not a toad.
Close enough.
Reptilian does not make similar creature.
And then we have The Legend of Sleepy Hollow from 1985, the premiere episode of
Shelley Duvall.
Duvall, is that how you pronounce
Shelley
it?
Duvall.
Tales of Legend series. Oh my God. Why did Ed Begley Jr. was in that? Okay.
I love me some Beverly D'Angelo. Yeah. Oh.
God, we picked the wrong adaptation.
Yeah, we did.
And then we have Sleepy Hollow, at the turn of the millennium, 1999, directed by Tim Burton, everyone's favorite Batman director, starring Johnny Depp, everybody's favorite pirate.
He still can't beat. I was gonna say, like, I enjoy Tim Curry more as a pirate than I do Johnny Depp.
Is that your favorite pirate?
Yeah.
I'll say yes.
You'll say yes.
He's lucky, yeah.
He's dying inside. Let's see. There's also the last one we have here is Raven Rock by Nicole Lewis. It's a historical fiction novel published in 2023, so fairly recent. It's a prequel to the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, an endless horseman origin story set during the American Revolution. That's Wesley.
Nice.
No, I will cut you. I will. We need to read this book. That sounds cool.
Yeah, that also sounds cool.
That also does kind of weirdly fit into, like, our homework for later.
And that's that. Another story in the classic, infallible 3-act structure. Good enough for Aristotle, good enough for The Simpsons.
Mr. Sislak, I have a feeling there's going to be one more act to this story.
Well, I'm not hanging around for that. 4 acts.
Structure's a theme.
Daniel, what's your thoughts on this structure?
I thought it was weird that it was basically a dude reading letters. He's like summarizing stories based off of things that other people had said.
What got me on this was, like, I feel like the theme of this was, this is how I can describe food like Ghibli can do it with visuals.
It made me so hungry.
I know! I feel like there was very long portions of this book that was just...
Food porn.
It was food porn.
Have you guys read the Game of Thrones books?
No.
He writes about food just like this.
I've not have to remember.
There's more food in those books than sex.
That's just maybe only I paid attention to that part.
I didn't know about the Jeff Goldblum and Ed Begley Jr. ones until I was writing these outlines yesterday. That's why.
Well, if we ever need filler content.
Yeah.
It's just kind of one of those things where, like, there's probably, like, so... It's like one of those things where, like, it's so set in American history. There's probably, like...
Oh, there's countless.
Oh, there's so many.
I just picked, like, the highlights.
Yeah.
There's so many.
There's probably,
I guess most people just are, like, passingly aware of the two because one's fucking Tim Burton and one is Disney.
And one is Disney, yeah.
Anyway, theme. Right?
Okay.
Well, I just
food is a theme, because I feel like food is a theme.
All right, we talked about romanticism during Frankenstein, and this is also romanticism, but this is, like, specifically, like, early American romanticism. I was talking about in my earlier one, there's just, like, New England adjacent porn, because it's just, like, describing, like, this ideal country life in in the story, the late 18th century, and the bounty of the land and the beautiful autumn leaves and
how you can exploit it by marrying women.
Yeah, we'll get to that guy, that bastard of Sleepy Hollow. But yeah, I mean, and again, like, if you're not, this is capital R romanticism, which means not like romance as in like love, but romance as in like grand descriptions of nature, grand descriptions of culture, and maybe having to do with like common country people, not
it's like idealization of the mundane.
Yeah. Which I kind of found annoying on the first read, but was able to appreciate more on the second read.
Yeah, I remember the first time I read it I was just so bored. I'm like, where's the Horsemen thing? And it comes in like the last like 2 pages.
And then Tim Burton does the absolute opposite by putting him in every scene. It's like, this sucks!
He read the book when he was a teenager and went, I can do better.
He Francis Ford Coppola did it.
That's a good comparison.
Okay, another theme, progress versus tradition. So Ichabod Crane represents like the progressive, the new age, and tradition is the people of Sleepy Hollow, who are
country bumpkins.
The country bumpkins, yes, essentially. And that also contributes to another theme, which is the plight of the outsider. Ichabod Crane is sort of ostracized by the other people, not all of them, like mostly the other men, particularly Brombo.
Because he's banging all of their wives.
But like he's still like, he is the other, and part of the story is about like how does he make his place in this community where he's not entirely welcome.
So I'm sitting there and I'm listening to the book, right? And I can't help but feel that there must have been like an inverse of expectations or desires at some point. Mm-hmm. Where it used to be everybody was like, or the most people that you had available were these like big, brawny farmer men. Mm-hmm. So of course when you see some skinny intellectual dude, oh, he's different. That's what makes that's what my pussy wants.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like, I can't think of a specific example, but how many stories are there out there of like small town girls who fall in love with a guy from the city.
Yeah.
They're like,
and then you have the opposite, where the city girl goes in and she gets to experience country life for the first time.
yeah.
So it's just, I guess it must just be whatever's the opposite of what you have normally.
Son-in-law, Pauly Shore. There you go.
Oh, we should review that.
Yeah.
Or Pauly Shore podcast.
I was thinking like
now.
Sweet Home Alabama.
Hey, buddy.
Sweet Home Alabama
Yeah.
versus fucking Breakfast at Tiffany's.
But that's what I was thinking, because you got a bunch of people are always like, why do girls always go for the big, strong guys? This stupid skinny nerd saying that.
He's a stupid intellectual
I think of
asshole.
that. You ever seen that? What's the movie? It's is it?
Yeah, I've seen that movie.
Yeah. It's got fucking.
Which
God damn it! It's
Jim Carrey.
No, it's got Jay Baruchel and
Jim Carrey would make a great Ichabod Crane.
It's like it's the whole joke of the movie is like he's kind of this dweeby guy, and this really like very attractive woman is like.
How to Train Your Dragon.
No, same guy though. That's Jay Baruchel.
Burchell.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, it's like I don't even know what it's called.
I used to be able to. It's like right up here. Hey guys, Jay Burchell here. We gotta listen. We gotta get the dragons. We gotta get them to the island.
God, I hate how good that is.
We listen. We gotta.
Do this voice, jokey.
Toothless. Listen, Toothless. We gotta save my dad, Toothless.
But you didn't.
When we do a Higurashi stream, you can do that voice.
Okay, my segue was worth it just to hear that.
Anyway, that's how I got on The Outsider. The Outsider that gets all the women he wants.
And the other theme I had written down was supernatural intervention, which I would argue is a theme, but not a reality in the story, and we will talk more about that when we get to characters.
Yay!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
So let's start with characters, with Ichabod Crane. I'm going to let you guys go, but I just have one thing to say. I had the exact same experience as Daniel. Like, I remember watching the cartoon all the time, and as a kid, always thinking, Ichabod is such a good guy, and Brom Bones is such an asshole. And then, like, the first time, both reading the story and watching that cartoon as an adult, I'm like, it's the opposite. Like, I mean, Brom Bones isn't exactly Jesus Christ.
But he's just like he's like an everyman.
Yeah, and he's Ichabod like Crane he's almost a villain.
Brom Bones is if Bluto had a soul.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, Ichabod Crane.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude.
How many forums have you met Ichabod Cranes on, Daniel?
How many times have I been this guy?
How many Reddit streaks have you seen with this guy in it?
I mean, part of it, like, okay, so, like, one of the big things is that he's not interested, he's not in love with Katrina. He wants to marry her so she can have her father's farm's wealth. And, like,
what's that wheat?
And he's even like, we'll sell it all off so I can move somewhere better.
And that idea is kind of offensive to modern sensibilities. And, like...
Is it even offensive to back then sensibilities?
Yes and no. It was more common. Marriages of convenience were much more common back then.
Yeah, marriages of convenience, but just like...
But this is...
the way he phrases it all.
He phrases it almost like he's a predator.
Yeah. He phrases it like he's my Tinder profile.
Yeah. And I know because I wrote that.
Right now, it's just the... have you heard the Tell of Darth Tychus the Wise speech is my Tinder profile?
New one should just be, I am strictly better than Ichabod Crane. He's going to change it for you. I see it now.
I know his password.
Yeah, I'm generally in the same camp as you guys as far as like... And it's probably because I just don't remember... I don't remember much about it when I was younger, but like reading it as an adult, it was so weird because like I feel like his character's not at all likable, and the story itself,
not even a little bit.
Yeah, and the story itself, like really, I feel like it plays off what you were saying, where like it was kind of this. I don't want you to sound mean or anything, but I mean I kind of feel like this story ends up being as grand as it is as far as like its immortalization and inspiration of things. Mainly because what else was there to read?
There was less it's not like us where we're tripping over content.
Yeah,
piece of content
less
every second.
oversaturation.
Yeah.
Whereas this one just like, because like I don't, it's so hard, it's so weird for me to like read this story in a modern age and have characters that really are just not at all likable. Like even the other two aren't really likable to a degree.
Well, and like Brom and Katrina aren't even really characters.
No, they're just like their motivations for Ichabod.
Yeah, it's so weird. The way Ichabod is always going on, or at least the guy who's talking about him is going on about how he views himself as this big intellectual who's smarter than everyone else, but he's the most superstitious person in this backwoods village.
Yeah, which, you would think the smartest person would be the least superstitious person, but Brom, he's not portrayed as being stupid, but he's not an intellectual.
Yeah, he doesn't have schooling.
Yeah, but he's not superstitious. In fact, I would say, it's not definitive one way or the other, but my interpretation of the story is that Brom uses Ichabod's superstition against him to win Katrina.
I think while it doesn't spell that out for you, the story very heavily hints at that.
And that's one of my favorite things about the story, is that the hero is a jerk and the villain wins by exposing like the villain's like main flaw, which is his superstition and his ego to a sense.
Your kryptonite is ghost story. You're pussy.
I think the Burton adaptation also kind of hints that that's his thought on it, because there's a scene in that movie which I'll talk about when we talk about that.
Cool.
Because they almost explicitly says that.
But yeah, and that, so just on Brom, like, I mean, we basically said it all, but that, I think, is actually the intention that Washington Irving had, is that Brom was the horseman. There was nothing supernatural. He just had a costume on and he scared the shit out of Ichabod Crane.
The story is almost telling you don't be a superstitious jerk.
Yeah. Be more like Brom Bones.
Hiya! Happy Easter!
Which you don't, I guess I don't get a lot of messaging wise these days.
Yeah. Okay, what about Katrina Van Tassel? I thought it was so funny that they specifically mentioned that she shows more of her ankles than the other one.
Yeah.
Because that's like a joke. Like when you're talking about like older stuff, people are like, oh, and the women showed a shoulder, or they showed her ankle, and that's right there. It's right in the story.
I don't know, I got more of a hard-on for that food than I did her ankle.
Yeah. I'm not an ankle guy.
I'm also not hugely on ankles.
I ask women for their ankles all the time, and if they actually send
them, not on your head, Dan. You want to ask them to dinner first before you put them over your head.
I like ankles under stockings. Or under fishnets.
I think stockings cheat as a rule by just being stockings.
Yeah.
I'll kill you all! I'll drive you crazy, and I'll kill you all! I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
Is this short story scary?
I think it was at the time. I think that's why this story has kind of like persevered as much as it has.
But for Hess in 2024 reading this, did it scare the pants off you?
I mean, them ankles. They did a fear of me that I may have to end up leaving my wife for.
All right.
Describe the ankles to me in great detail.
I'm now afraid of school teachers macking on my women.
Do you think that's something that people at the time were afraid of?
I think
school teachers macking on their women?
Yes, I do. I actually think that was a legitimate fear, which is why this dude wrote this, was a stranger comes into town and all the women want his dick.
I think
he's Dracula.
Yeah.
I think that instead of what the next Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter should actually be Washington Irving and the school teacher's mistress.
That's not bad.
I'd watch it or read it.
We should write that.
Sure. Put it up there with the Ernest Frankenstein book.
Oh, that's also a great idea.
Okay.
Ernest. Oh, that was the brother, right?
Yeah, the one that didn't die.
Just kind of like
the only one that didn't die that the story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What happened to Ernest Frankenstein?
I think we could write a story about that.
We could, because it's in the public domain.
Yeah.
Malaria.
he joined the French Foreign Legion with,
and then he dies
with my two uncles and their lions.
Holy shit, that's a reference.
I don't get this reference.
Secondhand Lions.
I haven't seen it.
What? All right, we got to do that in Sandlot.
That's the same reaction I get when I tell people I haven't seen Holes.
Yeah, Holes is all right. It's fine.
I also say it's fine. I have nothing to contribute on that.
I mean, I don't think there's a single Shia LaBeouf movie that I'm like, oh my god, you haven't seen this.
Yeah. I also had the unfortunate, experience with Disturbia.
Yeah, this is all right.
But Sleepy Hollow isn't scary.
No. So let's talk about the key scene, like the scene that this is famous for, the chase. Ichabod and Gunpowder being chased by the Headless Horseman.
Yeah, all 30 seconds of it.
Okay, so your thought is there wasn't much of it?
I guess that's like the expectation versus reality whenever this is your first time experiencing the actual story versus what your memory of the Disney movie was.
Yeah, it's a much bigger set piece than the Disney movie.
Yeah, and then even like it's a very small part in the Disney movie too, but at the same time it's very like visually stunning. And it's not that this wasn't descriptive, but after like I get, I don't know, 20 minutes worth of food, and then like 30 seconds worth of Horsemen.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hef, do you have anything on that before we move on to Kings and Koontz?
No. I mean, I do feel like the time in which it was written made the biggest difference. It's like, because the earlier parts are all the setup for it, which doesn't even really have a setup. It just kind of briefly tells you about like the legend of it at the beginning.
Okay.
But like, Washington Irving, during the era in which he wrote that, I mean, like you said, oversaturation's a thing, but back then, I mean, this probably terrified people when they read it.
I mean, yeah, it's in the story, like the entertainment, they'd have these parties, and then they'd sit around and tell ghost stories. And I can imagine, like, living in that time period, that hearing something like this, and then having to ride home in the complete dark.
Yeah.
Complete, no streetlights, no businesses, it's like maybe you have a lamp, but like going home with the creaking trees all around, that could be really fucking scary.
Well, and you're like listening to your horse clop along or whatever like that. What are you listening for? A horseman. So every clop you hear from your horse, you're just like, did that echo?
Yeah.
Did that echo, or is there something behind me? Like, I could, like, I don't know, like, so people romanticize that because they remember that being like the big thing. Like, that's the scariest part to them, because back then,
and when you're
genuinely terrifying.
as a modern audience, going back sometimes is a little hard.
100%.
So
yeah,
maybe a modern equivalent would be you go to a movie and you see a slasher movie, and it's one of those where the killer's in the back seat of the car and jumps out, and then you're driving. Everybody's been there. You're driving home after the movie, and you just kind of look over in the back seat. Nope, there's nobody there. Like,
I always check my back seat for this reason.
Oh my God! Are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
Okay, Kings and Koontz. Dana, what is your king for Sleepy Hollow?
The fact that Ichabod Crane got so much pay. Like, half of the town's bloodline is now his, even if he didn't get Katrina.
Mine is the resolution of the story and my headcanon, which I think is actually what happened, that Brom Bones just fucks him over. Just like, you know what? Steal my woman. I'll show you what. I'm gonna dress up as a ghost and scare the shit out of you.
My king, I had a similar experience with this the second time around with similar to what I had with the Eyes of the Dragon, because it is told to you kind of like a story.
Yeah,
like the
like
way
it's a fairy tale.
It's
not really, but
it's kind of narrated to you. Like you're kind of coming up to your own expectations of things. I listen to this on audiobook, and ones like these every now and then are just a really nice. They're a treat to me. Yeah. I like orated stories a lot of times.
I agree. Daniel, you're Koontz.
This is mostly just my expectation. I would have liked more Horsemen.
Well, I know where you could get 4.
Today's sponsored content is
Scoop Kitty litter.
I guess my Koontz is that I was a little prejudiced based on the first time I read it, and had to kind of get over that a little bit, but I did, so.
My Koontz is probably... I think it's one of those things where, like, it's not as scary going in. It's not as Horsemen thing, as you were saying. I think it's one of those things where, like, the things that it's inspired, you go back to the original source thinking it's going to be something, like, really awesome and magical, and really it's just okay. And I think it's an unrealistic expectation of all the things that it's inspired. Because the Headless Horseman is just such a weirdly interesting piece of media that I don't think gets explored a whole lot. So it's a really cool idea to me to like go back and see what the origins of it are.
Apparently there's like 20 adaptations I didn't even know about.
Right. And I think the story that originally inspired all this is really a lot less about the Horsemen and a lot more about Ichabod being a dick.
Yeah. Anybody?
So,
yeah. All right, rankings. Short story rankings. We don't get to pull these up too often.
Sleepy Hollow story wing.
You're up first.
Okay. I think it's number 2. Just because it's... Yeah.
Below the Werewolf and above One for the Road.
I still enjoyed, like, the narrative of it, like, as far as...
No.
I will listen to this again.
And I will, too.
Yeah, before I jump back into those other ones.
No, I liked it, too. Next up is Daniel, which is right here. It's better than Call of Cthulhu, isn't it?
No, it's right below Night Surf.
It's your new number 11, below Night Surf and above All That You Love Will Be Carried Away.
Which is strange because my justification for putting it below Night Surf is that Stephen King just writes better. But then we got Stephen King's story right below.
All That You Love Will Be Carried Away kind of just sucked.
It just, when you write as much as Stephen King, eventually some slop will hit the wall.
Yeah. I have it at number 6. And, like, being a Tolkien fan, I do appreciate, like, the grandiose description. And I also, as a history guy, can appreciate its historical significance a little bit more. So, yeah, it's below Jerusalem's Lot and above the Phantom Rickshaw for me. Now, I'm kind of wanting to bump it below the Phantom Rickshaw because that story just made me laugh so hard, but that's what it is. It's number 6. Okay. Homework. If you were a suitor in Sleepy Hollow, how would you win the heart of the fair Katrina Van Tassel?
Well, I've been listening to Shogun recently, and I have learned that bathing is a hell of a turn-on for people.
Especially if you don't take them often.
I think that's how I would win over the delicate Van Tassel. I would just smell better than the other shit in town.
I would insult her ankles. Look, those are the ugliest ankles I've ever seen.
So you would go with nagging.
Yeah, which isn't typically something that I would go for, but this is high competition, so you got to bring the A game.
I have a similar answer, but it's 2 words: ankle cream. It's like
that app.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna tell her what the secret ingredient is.
Oh, and I looked it up. She's 18 in the store.
So that's after you.
For further,
as soon as he said I looked it up, I was waiting for him to go, "Hi, Daniel, she's 15."
No,
after I say something disgusting.
I looked it up after I watched the Disney cartoon. I was like, "Oh, how old is that girl?"
She is rather
voluptuous,
boisterous.
Yeah. All right. For further reading, if you like this a lot, you should definitely read Rip Van Winkle, also by Washington Irving, and then just some other good like classics. Dracula's Guest by Bram Stoker, which we have an episode on. There's a Rudyard Kipling stories, The Mark of the Beast and The Phantom Rickshaw, which we have episodes on, and My Own True Ghost Story, which is a non-fiction story of Rudyard Kipling's own experience with a real ghost, so that's cool. Upcoming on the Horror of Babylon, our next 2 Sunday episodes. This coming Sunday, we are doing The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, 1949, the Disney animated adaptation, and then Sunday, March 3rd, is the first Sunday of the month. First the Sunday.
Munch. No, it's the munch now.
The first Sunday of the munch, and the first Sunday of the munch means
carpet.
The Dark Tower.
Oh, carpet munching.
It is your caw to listen to this episode.
It's caw pit.
Caw.
It's your cock.
You want to munch the cow pit? It was your destiny.
Remember the face of your father.
I do every time I munch.
I haven't been this pissed off since the walls of Gilead stood.
From the windows to the walls of Gilead.
All right, so first Sunday, we are doing The Wastelands, which is book 3 of The Dark Tower. And then our next 2 Thursday bonus episodes on the 22nd, we are doing the anime short film Kaku Renbo. And then on the 29th, which we should have done something a little more on theme for Leap Day, but whatever. On February 29th, we are back at the Treehouse of Horror of Babylon with the Easy Bake Coven. Marge the Witch, hello. I'm getting us Team Marge t-shirts, by the way. And speaking of teams, thank you to our support team, including Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben the Fourth, Patron of Hope, and Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it Wayne, yo.
Oh, she makes it Wayne. And thank you to Forrest and Comics and Gaming, which you can find at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Shack Behind the Pigsty in Sleepy Hollow, New York, or you can shop at fourhorsemen.tcgplayerpro.com. And if you make it into that pig shack, say hello to the lead pig, the Mexican girl who killed all those people, but she subcontracts out most of her killing to Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas.
They just become more elaborate as he goes.
I'm waiting for it to become like a whole speech.
Thank you for reading Sleepy Hollow. Thank you for reading the Legend of Sleepy Hollow and recording with me tonight, gentlemen.
I was swept away.
It was a good time.
Thank you to our patrons. Stay tuned for our socials and stay scary.
Stay scary.
Stay scary, folks.
Stay scary.
Stay scary.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.